there! So this is Kahoot, an awesome website for quizzing your students in a fun way. I had never heard of this website until I saw it in action during my English as a second language placement. It worked absolute wonders. Throughout this presentation, I might reference ESL students, and that's because I'm thinking about this application with those students in mind. With Kahoot, the teacher can make a quiz about whatever he or she wants. There are many purposes for using Kahoot, but it is an excellent way to get students involved. Check out my other screencast video if you'd like to find out more about specific ways you can use Kahoot. Students are able to use their own devices, like a phone or a laptop, to participate in Kahoot. They must plug into the game pin and then create their own name to play. The teacher can project it onto the screen and students can answer these questions. They can text it in or use their own laptops or iPads. Here it is. I would like to talk about the different universal design for learning guidelines that Kahoot addresses. There are 9 UDL guidelines, and I believe Kahoot hits all of them. So let me switch gears, please. And here it is. So the first big section is to provide multiple means of representation. The first part of this is perception. Kahoot uses pictures and symbols in order to provide a perception to any student. This can work for many different types of learners and students. The second is language, expression, and symbols. I love Kahoot for this reason. I have seen it work very well with students who have lived in the United States for 6 months or less, because it uses symbols like triangles and squares for answers. Symbols are universal, so this application works for ESL students. The third is comprehension. Since there is immediate feedback from the teacher, it helps gauge how students are comprehending the information. In my subject, English Language Arts, you can start discussions based on what students are understanding and not understanding. The second big section is to provide multiple means of actions and expression. Through physical action, Kahoot is super accessible. Students must just click buttons, and it is incredibly easy. Through expression and communication, it shows that there are multiple ways to communicate during class. Students who might be shy don't even have to talk if they don't want to. They don't have to be embarrassed. However, their code names do show up, unless the teacher turns it off. For executive function, it shows that students have the authority to take control of their own learning through this awesome application. The final overall heading for UDL is to provide multiple means of engagement. The first strategy, recruiting interest, is easy. Kahoot is like a competitive game. Students love competition, and it is fast-paced, so it's really easy to get students interested in the game. Teachers can even add incentives if they'd like. Next, Kahoot works with sustaining effort and persistence. If students get the right answer, that's great. If they don't, the teacher can have a classroom environment where students feel okay with asking questions after each quiz question. The teacher or the students can always go back and do the quiz again if needed. Finally, self-regulation is important. When students get competitive, it helps. They can recognize which areas they aren't strong in. The teacher can even make sure students are writing down the ones they got wrong. I now have 3 suggestions for how to use Kahoot in a classroom. The first is as a review game before a test. The second is a do now. You could talk about things learned in a previous class for a quick review. The third is a diagnostic assessment. You could gauge what students know about a topic. So, with that said, Kahoot is an awesome tool to use in your classroom. Thank you so much for tuning in.